The rain was relentless, pounding against the windshield of Mark's aging sedan as he navigated the winding country roads. The GPS voice was a steady companion, guiding him through unfamiliar territory. As the journey continued, the dim glow of his headlights revealed a sign: road closed ahead. Mark groaned, his plans of reaching home before midnight now thwarted. Moments later, the GPS chirped, taking alternative route. Mark followed the guidance, turning onto a narrow, pothole-ridden road lined with tall, foreboding trees. The rain became a drizzle, and a thick fog began to envelop the area, reducing visibility. As he drove deeper into this new route, he noticed a dilapidated wooden sign swaying eerily in the wind, barely legible, which read, "Miller's Slaughterhouse." It pointed towards a branching gravel path. Remembering local legends about an old, abandoned slaughterhouse where unspeakable horrors occurred, Mark's pulse quickened, but he shrugged it off, focusing on the road. Suddenly, a loud clunk echoed from beneath the car, followed by a sputtering engine. The sedan shuddered and rolled to a stop. Mark tried to restart the engine, but it merely clicked in protest. He was stranded. His phone showed no signal, the fog was too thick to see far ahead, and behind him lay miles of treacherous road. He remembered the slaughterhouse's direction and, with a glimmer of hope, thought it might provide shelter or at least a landline phone. With a heavy heart, and the flashlight function of his dying phone leading the way, Mark followed the sign's direction. After a short, tense walk, the imposing structure of the abandoned Miller's Slaughterhouse loomed ahead. Its wooden walls were rotting, and its windows shattered, yet it seemed more welcoming than the fog-covered woods. Mark hesitantly pushed the heavy door open. A gust of stale air greeted him. His light scanned the room, revealing old butcher hooks hanging from the ceiling, rusty equipment, and the pervasive smell of decay. Trying to keep calm, he looked for a phone or any sign of modern communication. His light landed on a dusty old office door. As he approached it, he noticed a faint rhythmic sound. It was almost like breathing. Heart racing, he carefully pushed the door open. To his horror, he discovered a frail old man, bound and gagged, sitting in a corner, his eyes wide with terror. Around the room were old newspaper clippings about people who'd gone missing on these roads, with dates spanning decades. Panicking, Mark worked quickly to free the man. As he removed the gag, the man croaked, "He's coming. We need to hide." Just as the words left the old man's mouth, the unmistakable sound of a vehicle approached. The headlights of a truck pierced the fog, illuminating the entrance of the slaughterhouse. In a rush, Mark and the man hid behind a rusty meat locker. Footsteps echoed as a tall, shadowy figure entered, humming an eerie tune. Minutes felt like hours as they waited in silence. Suddenly, the old man's phone vibrated loudly. The shadowy figure turned their direction, the beam of a flashlight cutting through the darkness. Resigned to their fate, Mark braced himself. But then, a twist. The old man stood up, his posture changing, his voice firm. "I knew this game would get old, brother," he spat. The tall figure laughed. "You always were the weak one." It turned out, the old man was the brother of the shadowy figure, and they had lured unsuspecting travelers for years. But age and a hint of remorse had caught up with the old man, leading to a fallout. Using the element of surprise, Mark attempted to tackle the tall figure. However, the strength of his adversary was gravely underestimated. The taller brother, with a swift motion, overpowered Mark, pinning him to the ground with a vice-like grip. The old man merely watched, a mix of fear, resignation, and a hint of sorrow in his eyes. The last thing Mark saw before everything went black was the glinting blade the tall figure held, and the cold, emotionless eyes staring down at him. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Mark's car was eventually discovered abandoned on the side road, but no trace of him was ever found. The legend surrounding the Miller's Slaughterhouse grew, with Mark becoming yet another cautionary tale of the horrors that lurk on desolate, fog-covered roads. The slaughterhouse remained, an ever-present symbol of the mysteries and tragedies that lay hidden within its walls. Story 2. Liam and Jane, a young couple excited about their road trip across the country, took to the roads with a sense of adventure. The vast expanse of open highways and quaint little towns promised a refreshing break from their bustling city life. One evening, as dusk set in, they found themselves on an unfamiliar stretch of road. The GPS, which had been guiding them faithfully, began to glitch. "Let's just follow this road," Liam suggested, spotting an old wooden sign that read, "Welcometon 5 miles." As they drove further, the forest on either side grew denser, and a thick fog began to settle. The once clear road now appeared grim under the veil of the fog, and the atmosphere grew tense. Soon, the outlines of old buildings emerged through the mist. "Looks like we've reached Welcometon," Jane murmured, her voice betraying unease. The town, however, seemed deserted. Abandoned cars were scattered along the road, their paint chipped and windows shattered. Storefronts were boarded up and houses had overgrown lawns with toys strewn about, as though children had been playing there just moments before. An eerie silence prevailed. Trying to shake off the unease, Liam chuckled. "Looks like we've stumbled upon a ghost town, let's turn around." But as he tried to retrace their path, the roads seemed to change. Each turn they took led them back to the same spot in the center of Welcometon. Panic began to set in. Jane's eyes darted around and landed on an old town hall with a clock tower, its hands frozen at 3:33. "Maybe there's a map or something inside," she suggested, trying to stay calm. Venturing in, they found old newspapers dating back decades, all with the same headline: "Welcometon disappears off the map." Flipping through, Jane discovered that Welcometon had been a thriving town until everyone mysteriously vanished one night. Suddenly, a soft lullaby echoed through the hall, making them jump. Following the sound, they found an old gramophone playing by itself. Next to it, a journal lay open. The entry, dated the last known day of Welcometon, read, "They do not let us leave. We tried. Every road leads back here. We're trapped in a loop. If you're reading this, so are you." Horrified, the couple rushed back to their car. As they tried road after road, the reality of the journal's words became clear. No matter how fast they drove or which route they took, they always ended up back in Welcometon. Desperation led them to attempt leaving on foot, but the dense forest surrounding the town seemed to close in on them, forcing them back to those hauntingly familiar buildings. Night fell, and an ominous moon rose over Welcometon. Shadows danced, and faint whispers filled the air, recounting tales of joy, sorrow, and despair, the voices of the town's former inhabitants. The couple, now exhausted and defeated, found themselves standing back in front of the town hall, the clock still frozen at 3:33. They realized that Welcometon had claimed them, just as it had its previous residents. Back in the bustling city they once called home, they were declared missing. Search parties were dispatched, but no trace was ever found. The road they had taken, the sign leading to Welcometon, had all vanished. Years passed, and the story of the couple who disappeared on a road trip became a chilling urban legend. But somewhere, in a loop of time and space, Welcometon still exists, waiting for its next unsuspecting visitors. Thanks for joining us tonight, fellow travelers of the unknown. The roads we journey on often have more lurking in the shadows than we might think. Whether it's a detour to an old slaughterhouse or a mysterious town that refuses to let go, always remember to tread carefully in the realm of the unexplained. If you enjoyed these tales of terror, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more spine-tingling stories. Until next time, keep your headlights on and your senses alert. You never know what's just around the bend. Sweet dreams.